Let's ride!
Welcome to the Three Amigos podcast. I'm Jared Burns,
I'm Ryan Lytle.
I'm Josiah Bohr.
and our topic we'll be discussing today in our first and probably last episode is going to be discussing the story of David and Goliath. After reading the book David and Goliath, we had come to the early conclusion that we did not enjoy it as much as we didn't enjoy much of the stories in the book except for the main story of the whole book, which was David and Goliath. And we just wanted to share and discuss our opinions and takeaways from the stories or messages or themes within this one story. So, who would like to kick off this podcast? Any likes, dislikes, or any thoughts? Anybody?
So I would like to share some of my thoughts. Overall, the book was a little boring. Had some interesting information. My favorite parts were about the World War II and Vietnam sections, including the interesting information on bombings of both those wars, and some of the people who contributed a lot, but their stories aren't well known. Kind of like Andrei Trocom helping out Jewish population in the Vichy France, or Conrad Kellen explaining why constantly bombing people is going to make them mad. But the rest of the book I kind of disliked. It's boring. The dyslexia sections, also the section with Teresa and Caroline Sachs, they were, in my opinion, the most boring sections. And also, I don't like some information he uses. The best example I have is how in the first story about David and Goliath themselves, Malcolm compares a sling to a handgun, which does not make sense. A sling can get a rock to about 90 miles per hour, which is okay, but like people in baseball can throw faster pitches. 1911, which is Chamberlain 45, which is a caliber he used as an example, also has a muzzle velocity about 650 miles an hour, which is a lot more lethal.
I think.
Yeah, and I just
Go ahead.
I'd just like to add on to that. He has some different numbers that just kind of seem a little off. He says that Goliath, a giant standing at 6'9", average male stands at 5'9", and we actually know at least one person who stands at 7'1". And just I'm Christian, so I believe a bit more in the Bible. And with this story, I believe a bit more what the Bible says, and it says that he would stand at roughly 9'9".
I would like to touch a little bit more on what Ryan had already said about some of the other stories, and I just wanted to say how though I didn't find the book intriguing whatsoever, and honestly I don't even remember most of anything from the book except from maybe one or two chapters. But what I did actually find interesting is how all of these completely different stories actually connected all back into one big topic of it being some sort of underdog story or something along those lines, and connecting it somehow to David and Goliath, or somehow what I found interesting was the either the statistical thing, the statistical part of the book with classroom sizes, and or the inverted U graph, which I found very interesting because I'm a more visual, just math person, and it makes a cool visualization in my mind, pairing a graph with an underdog story and seeing how the two compare with each other, and I thought that was really cool.
Some more information I wouldn't bring up, kind of more akin to what Josiah said about the numbers with David and Goliath not adding up. In the book and also in the Bible, it says that Goliath is wearing a set of bronze scale mail, which weighs about 150 pounds. And scale mail is designed to be lightweight, and a full set of steel plate mail that was considered one of the heaviest armors ever is only 45 pounds. So it doesn't make sense why Goliath has so much armor. And also, his spear in both the book and the Bible was listed as being about 20 pounds in weight and just a head alone, when a conventional medieval spear weighed about 4 to 5 pounds for the entire thing.
Yeah, which would the set of scale mail being 150 pounds. Uh, I stand only 6 inches taller than Goliath, and I would not be able to carry that for more than like 10 minutes. It would make more sense that he would be a lot bigger, which would then make it technically lighter for him because he would have more muscle.
Yeah, that does make sense, but still, even with that muscle, that he's carrying an entire person worth of armor at all times.
And I think that's where I would go back into the part of what Josiah said, where he's more believes more into Christianity, which I also fall into that a little bit more, but I also like hearing more of the history side of things and also just logical facts of life, just present day, I guess, with like of how a normal person could carry things like that. And like obviously 9'9" is pretty tall, but if you look through other things for the Bible, it seems like the most minuscule thing of
Yeah.
something being real. And I find it more believable than probably any other story. And within the story, well, they explain him as a giant. I mean, I guess being like, what was it, like 6 foot, what was it in the book?
6'9".
6'9".
Yep.
They explain as 6'9". Yes, that is very tall. I can agree. But if I were probably to stand next to someone like that, I would probably think, yeah, they're pretty tall, but I'm not thinking giant. I'm not thinking a giant. I'm thinking they're probably tall. And more importantly, if someone is that tall in like this present day and age, most of the time, I guarantee you that they're probably more skinny than you would expect them to be. Because there is a lot of bone and flesh to like bulk up if you want them to, if they wanted to be bigger in some way. So I find it a little bit more believable to think that a giant being, I guess, just very muscular and just a man of war, basically, being as explained as a giant more than anything else, and him being 9'9" sounds more believable to me than anything else.
So, unfortunately, it appears that we are running out of time. We'd like to remind all our viewers that it's very important that you like this podcast, you subscribe so you don't miss our next episodes that we're definitely doing. You share it with your friends so they can all hear it. And we'll catch you on the next episode.
Goodbye.
We have
Bye.
to do a next episode.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yes,
Man,
Let us know,
the
Rogan.
last ride,
Let us know, Rogan. Will we have to make another episode?
the last ride of the three amigos.
Three amigos. We are the three amigos. We are the three amigos.